I, 39 female, have been married to my husband, Adam, 34 male, for 5 years and together for 7. I've never got along with my sister-in-law. Before dating me, Adam dated sister-in-law's friend in high school. However, they broke up years ago and dated on and off afterwards, but had not been together when we started dating. I think sister-in-law thought her friend and Adam would get married, not me and him. Sister-in-law often accidentally forgets to bring a plate or chair for me at family dinners, and I had had enough when she forgot to invite me to a family barbecue about 6 years ago, where she had remembered to invite everyone but forgot me. I confronted her about this, and she told me she just forgot to add me to the family group chat. After I told Adam about how I felt about sister-in-law treating me, he had spoken to her about it, and she has since been distant with me and ignores me. Adam's family also stepped in and told her off, so she apologized over text. 2 weeks ago, out of the blue, sister-in-law texted me to be a bridesmaid at her wedding and repair our relationship. I was hesitant to agree, as we don't get along or talk, but she insisted and said she would get me a dress for the event. I know how much she means to Adam, so I agreed. She got me the same box of items as her other bridesmaids, including an expensive makeup set. Sister-in-law recently found out I am pregnant and has accused me of trying to upstage her wedding by announcing my pregnancy, although we kept the pregnancy a secret for months, as we were told I had a high chance of miscarrying. However, one of Adam's cousins pointed out I wasn't drinking at a family event, and Adam announced we were expecting. We are very happy, as we have struggled to get pregnant for years. But sister-in-law has said that I am now uninvited from the wedding. I will be heavily pregnant by then, and will probably not be able to fit in the dress she has got me. She has told me that she will now need to ask another friend to be a bridesmaid, and asked for her gift back. To spite her, I opened the gift box and used every item so she can't re-gift it. She is demanding I reimburse her for the gift and the dress. She has not charged any of the other bridesmaids for the dress, and she is still able to return it for a full refund. I agreed to pay for only the makeup and the gift as a compromise, but she asked me to pay full price for it, even though I know she got the gift a lot cheaper, as she works for that makeup brand, which I have refused. Adam has been on my side for this, and has told her that we will not be reimbursing her for anything. However, mother-in-law and the rest of the family want us to reimburse her for the dress and gift, as she will have to gift this all again to her new bridesmaid. But agrees sister-in-law should apologize to me for uninviting me and allow me to attend as a guest. Not the a-hole, but I admittedly want to say that I wouldn't have accepted being a bridesmaid for someone you don't really care for. She can bring back the dress, pay her for the makeup, and you and hubby have a beautiful date night that day. Hubs doesn't get to attend the wedding if you're not invited. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law is toxic, and your mother-in-law should stay out of it. I feel sorry for the guy who is marrying her. Do not refund her a penny. This is her problem. If she isn't inviting you to the wedding, it is better for you not to be around such toxic behavior. Not the a-hole. She is still holding a grudge from high school because her dream of her brother marrying her teenage bestie didn't happen the way she wanted it to. To say your pregnancy is a way to upstage her is ridiculous. She seems to feel everything revolves around her, and you being pregnant literally has nothing to do with her. I agree with your husband. I wouldn't reimburse her anything. Don't fuel her fire by paying any attention to her. I would ignore every text and call, and kill her with kindness whenever you see her at family events. For some pretext about the situation. The reason I did not know about their kids is because me and my sister have literally not spoken in 7 years. Growing up, we couldn't stand each other, and the moment she moved out, all contact broke off. And when I moved out as well a year later, I also broke contact with my parents, but that's a story for another day. Well, to my surprise, a week ago I got a weird phone call from someone who turned out to be my mother. How she got my number, no idea. She starts telling me my sister lost her job because of everything going on, as she worked as a waitress, and tells me I need to let her move in with me because she has nowhere to go. To be clear, I was only asked about my sister, no mention of a husband or kids. I of course immediately reject this proposal and tell her she can let her move back in with her if she wants to help. Tell her not to call me again and block the number. I pretty much forget about that incident during the next few days. My rejection fell on deaf ears apparently, as yesterday morning, a large white moving van stops literally in my driveway. How they found out where I live, again, no clue. And I get woken up by someone banging on my door. I open it up and surprise, surprise, it's a woman I do not recognize, flanked by 2 kids with an adult man and another kid who are starting to take stuff out of the moving van. She asks for help moving her stuff in, and I tell her she has the wrong house as I have no tenants. Well, she tells me she is my sister, and I had to take her and her family in as I apparently promised to do. In the background, her husband is literally rapidly hauling furniture and boxes out and putting it down in my front yard. I tell her to get the living F word out of here, and if they are not gone in the next 5 minutes, I'm calling the cops for trespassing and slam the door. Well, I look out my window, hear some yelling, My sister starts crying. They haul their stuff back in and off they go. Here's the thing. I did not expect I would feel bad, but I do. Last I heard, my sister has never done well financially, and she obviously has nowhere to go if she felt the need to come to me of all people. Meanwhile, I own a large house that I bought for when me and my deceased wife had kids. We never did. She had a car accident last year, and, well, yeah. Got a great job, and I could easily house them and feed them, and it wouldn't even make that big of a dent in my finances. Also, here's the kicker. I know my wife would have taken them in, especially considering there are kids involved, who are now probably homeless. She was always the better person between the two of us, so I'm very conflicted. Edit. Just so I do not have to repeat this again. I keep getting comments about why I did not recognize her, and instead of continuing to answer them all individually. I was woken up by the knocking on my door. My vision is pretty blurry when I just wake up, and I figure I would have eventually recognized her given enough time. That said, from memory, my sister was always physically fit, healthy-looking, attractive, fashionable, took good care of herself, used makeup, did her hair all fancy, just in general she looked nice. Yet it seemed like the past 7 years took a big toll on her, as it seems she aged 20 years the past 7 years. She looked unhealthy, tired, gained a considerable amount of weight, sickly looking, looks like she doesn't care for her appearance, messy hair, sloppy clothes. Not to talk down on her, but to give an explanation, like I said, she looked considerably different from what I remember. Not the a-hole. You would never get them to leave. They would be living off of you for as long as possible. I think you feel bad for the kids. Their parents suck. But sacrificing your mental health for them isn't a good thing. Not the a-hole. Those people are complete and utter strangers. You didn't even recognize her. And they assumed, possibly based on what your mother told them, that they could move an entire household of furnishings and children into your house without any discussion with you first. Even if you did agree to letting them move in, they should have contacted you to see how much room there was for furniture and whether there was enough space for their kids' stuff. No one in their right mind would ever just roll up with an entire truck of furnishings and start unloading. If you want to help, get your sister's contact info from your mom and offer to give her some money toward rent for a couple months or something. Pay any money directly to the landlord or bill. Don't give cash to your mother or sister, and set a limit and then stop. Not the a-hole. She showed up without your knowledge. Even if your mom lied and had told her she could move in, any normal person would have at least touched base with you before arriving. That makes me think she knew it was wrong. My, male 33, younger brother, male 27, has been working on getting his PhD in microbiology for the past 3 years. Bro was invited to present at a pretty prestigious health conference in the city me and him both live in. He lives alone about 10-minute drive away where I live with my wife, female 33. As my wife and I also work in healthcare, we were also invited to attend. My brother was super nervous to present there and wanted to go there very, very early. Since I knew me and my wife would also be going, I insisted that we give him a ride. He reluctantly agreed and canceled his Uber. The morning of, I wanted to go to my brother later than we had agreed to meet. This was because I thought that if he showed up so early, he would just be nervous as there wouldn't be anything for him to do after he set up. My wife wanted us to go to my brother at the time we originally agreed to meet, and told me that my line of thinking made no sense and would only stress him more. I didn't want to argue with her, so instead I took extra time getting there. As we were leaving, he called me and sounded super impatient, asking where I was. I said I'd be there soon. Unfortunately, traffic slowed us down quite a bit. We arrived at my brother's apartment around 20 minutes after the call, with him already waiting outside. He just got into the car and didn't say much the entire trip, making the whole ride awkward. When we got to the conference, brother didn't thank me for the ride, and instead he had to rush to set up with his supervisor. Over the course of the conference, my wife kept saying I should apologize to my brother if I see him, but I told her that it wasn't necessary as he never holds grudges. After the conference concluded, he texted me saying he wasn't feeling well and decided to go home instead of waiting for us and catching a ride with us back. He also told me that his supervisor chewed him out for being late, and I felt that this was a bit dramatic and backhanded. I asked him if he wanted to have dinner with us, but he declined. Am I the a-hole? Edit 1. I've tried calling him this morning, but he hasn't returned any of my calls. He did, however, pick up when my wife called, as she wanted to check in on him. I understand that he may be offended, but doesn't he share a degree of responsibility when it comes to setting things right? Edit 2. Got off the phone with my mother, female 59. She told me that she'd cut off all contact with me if I didn't apologize ASAP, and even if I did, she may still cut off contact if my brother doesn't think the apology is good enough. She didn't wait for me to explain myself, and instead hung up once she finished. She hasn't been answering my calls since. Edit 3. I texted my brother saying sorry to inconvenience you yesterday. I meant to be helpful. Since I sent it on WhatsApp, I saw he read the message but only responded 2 hours afterwards. I did think it was a little strange that he took such a long time to respond. His response was just, "It's okay." I talked to him a while after on the phone. He was pretty quiet most of the call, but did say he accepted my apology. Edit 4. For those wondering, I'm an anesthesiologist, so the notion of I'm jealous of him is baseless. You're the a-hole. General rule for life. You do not know better what's good for someone than what they decide for themselves. If you're presenting at a conference, you need to be there very early. You have to track down the techie to get the PowerPoint loaded and make sure it works okay. You have to register. You need to quietly review your notes. You have to calm your nerves, and in his case, you need to check in with your supervisor. And you ducked all that up for him because, oh no, you knew better. You harmed his reputation with his supervisor. You clearly have no idea how serious that is. That could affect quite literally his entire future career in his field by getting off on the wrong foot. You made him look unprofessional, and you made him sick with the stress. If I say what I feel about you, I will be banned. I have no words. Your behavior was appalling. In 2 years lurking this sub, no post has angered me so much as yours. Your arrogance, your condescension, your smug self-righteousness, your lack of remorse is nauseating. Source: 10 years organizing conferences and 20-plus years as an academic giving presentations at conferences. So let me get this straight. You deliberately took your time to get ready so you would make your brother wait for you? Because according to you, you didn't want to argue with your wife over the fact that your reasoning for going later didn't make any sense. You made your brother wait even longer than he otherwise would have over you trying to prove a pointless point to your wife. None of the stated reasons for your actions make the slightest sense to anyone with more than just a couple of brain cells to rub together. Yep, you're the a-hole. Wow, you were consciously setting up your brother for failure. You're the a-hole. I have 3 children who I share custody of. My youngest daughter has graduated high school, but we found out that for 6 months prior, she and her friends had been picking on my stepdaughter at school. After getting more info from my stepdaughter's friend, apparently my daughter's friends instigated the aggression, while my daughter would often laugh at her stepsister's expense. I think this made her just as culpable as her friends, even if my daughter claims that she can't control what other people say about her stepsister. So the consequence of this was to cancel the graduation party I normally throw for my children who graduated. In the past, I've had an aunt who would give each child a $40,000 check to use for their college. It's been a huge help because my ex and I aren't well off. She gave these checks at the graduation parties. For my daughter, my aunt asked when we'd have the party so she can give the check. I told her we weren't planning a party as a consequence. She understood and said she'd bring the check when we met up in the future. Unfortunately, my aunt passed away a month after what should have been the party date. We never got to meet her before then. And the children are denying the existence of any check for my daughter, which may well be the case. This has created a huge conflict between my daughter and myself. She had been counting on the money to live on her own closer to campus and take out significantly less loans. But now she's going to have to live at home and take out loans. I've co-signed these loans for her because I feel terrible about it. I've tried talking to her about it and how I wish it hadn't gone this way, but she's completely iced all of us out. She moved down into our basement and doesn't come up anymore. She hasn't talked to me or my wife or my stepdaughter since. I do feel very badly that she lost out on the gift, and I feel very guilty about it. But I truly felt that I was giving a proper consequence at the time. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You imposed a reasonable consequence. You could not have known about your aunt passing away, or that her children would not honor her wishes, which makes them the a-hole too, if they knew this was something she had intended to do. When that reasonable consequence had larger than anticipated consequences, you stepped up to help mitigate these consequences. It sucks she missed out on the gift, but maybe this will teach her that her actions can have consequences and to be a better person. My sympathy is for the stepdaughter. Daughter who perceived herself to be stuck at home is going to take it out on stepdaughter. On the whole, daughter seems like a piece of work. OP is not a-hole-ish for canceling the graduation party. There was no adult behavior to celebrate. OP is certainly not an a-hole because aunt died unexpectedly. Stuff happens. The loss of the $40K check is a freak misfortune. No reason for guilt. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, because you didn't deny your daughter the money. The aunt said she would bring it by at a later date, and unfortunately passed before that happened. You denied your daughter a party, but did nothing that would threaten her ability to go to college. You even offered to co-sign loans to make up for it.